Chess Evolved Online. This might be the best and worst chess variant ever made. This is a version of chess, but with like 400 new pieces. And yes, there's a lot. And it's also in like a CCG format. I've been playing this game for over 7 years, probably. God damn, it's closer to 8. Anyway, now the antics of the developer is probably its own video. The developer has committed so many design sins and questionable life choices that you really gotta wonder about the purity of this game, and very base takes on life. But this is not that video. Here's the classic chess army. You start with this at the beginning of the game. The most important part is, like, you can customize basically everything about it, as long as you have a full row. So you can even, like, pre-castle before the game, as a very mild example of what rearranging your army can do, obviously. Also, I don't know why the knight looks like an Egyptian and is facing right. So if you ever heard of a chess set called No Stress Chess, it's basically a chessboard for absolute beginners, and it's a really nice teaching tool, and it has these info cards for how the different pieces move in chess. And this info card thing is basically the entirety of the left side of the screen in Chess Evolved. So if your pattern matching skills are completely zero, you know this means that the rook can move as far as it wants vertically or horizontally. It truly shows you every possible location on the board that it can go. This is what a knight looks like. It is a different move type that looks green, and it is unblockable. So it's basically the jump ability. This move can't be blocked by other pieces. The bishop, which you can see that moves diagonally, you can clearly see that's how it works there. The queen, which is both of those, and the pawn. Now, yes, there is no en passant in here, and yes, it does promote to a bishop instead of a queen, because the queen is now some other piece's promotion. Honestly, no one does get to promote to bishop in these freaking games, but I agree with this, because the en passant would be too long to write for a common piece. Actually, I would like to highlight that these pieces, like the large piece that you would expect in chess, the rook, bishop, knight, queen, they're all listed as champions. And the whole idea with that is that, you know, the pawn's a minion. They're entirely different sets for minion and champion. So I click this button up here, and do all these. These are the minions, which are much weaker in value. You can see the cost is very low. This cost value is how much this costs to put in your army. You have a max number of total points. You can see the champions cost a lot more than the standard minions. You cannot put a champion on the minion row, and same vice versa. So that's a way to make it look, you know, more like normal chess armies. You'll note that the king is neither champion nor minion, which is relevant sometimes. You've also got the worst description ever for castling. Also, you do not lose immediately when you lose the king. On death, lose 25 morale, then bleed 3 morale each turn. Morale is kind of like your health. Now, losing your king is almost death, but is not necessarily. I'll rant about that design decision some other time. The most important thing to know is that castling 3 spaces doesn't work like in normal chess, so prepare to get scammed.
No. How did I...
To not intimidate you with my massive piece collection and make things easier, I'm going to start a new account. The first that you ever get in the game is a starter pack. This is actually, you'll be able to buy like dozens of these. This is not actually a very impactful choice. It's a very common noob question, and it's clan box all the time. The other two do not have the synergy or power, but it's recommended to get them anyway, even if they don't really synergize. But we're going to pick the clan box here. Yes, the game does come in a CCG, like, wrapper. You gain currency and open boxes to get units. And I basically have no problems with this idea. Like, it makes a really nice progression of getting units, and you'll get so many units that you're not going to feel like you're out of things to do or whatever. Okay, why has the spaghetti monster decided to put the mute button now? Okay, anyway. You can edit the army, you can visit the shop, and there's the tutorial, and there's multiplayer. Oh great, another thing to mock the developer for. Gotta bring that up, do I? The login box mechanic. This is a complete tangent, but the developer who has been active and is still active in the community and answering questions and stuff. It's a very cursed perspective on the login box mechanic. Basically, you can click this, because this is a freaking idle game, and open up a box for completely free, and it will have units or currency in it, and then there's a timer. So they're completely free, right? But obviously the point of this mechanic is that you'll spend your whole day having the game on in the background just so you can open these. Yes, you get lots of currency for this. Yes, it makes this game look more like an idle game. And in that video that talks about the developer of this game, the freaking spaghetti monster, there will have to be so much talk about how this game is like trying to cultivate a non-P2 pay-to-win aesthetic, but it only gets like 75% of the way there, which is still better than lots of the other Kongregate crap at the time, with energy systems and much more blatantly pay-to-win things than other games. But this game's history was not free of that kind of nonsense. I just want to get that out there. Okay, to the gameplay for real. Okay, so first of all, this is the army building screen, and yes, it says upgrades. But no, it's not a pay-to-win upgrade system. The way this game does upgrades is actually incredibly, like, I really, some people dislike it, but I think it's really great. So you can see all the new units that we just got from opening that box at the very start. Again, if you have pattern matching skills, you can see this rook can move as far as it wants horizontally or vertically. But then compared to this warrior, which has a lot less range, and obviously we can see that reflected in its much lower cost, but technically it is different from the rook. Like, it's not always worse, because you have these diagonals that can also move and attack too. You also got some swordsmen, so comparing it to the pawn, this is cost 0, it has 2 attacks and a move only. So you can see that the move and attack are split into these different move types. And let's switch these pawns out at the edges for swordsman, and let's just switch to warrior. And this also maxes my total points. All right, let's save the army, and oh look! Another login box. Alright, whatever. Anyway, let's get in a game. That's some meme tips that you can look at. So, now that we're in a game, finally, you can see there are some blue and red things on the grid, which represent the range of attack that you have. This is a good feature, but sometimes, like, it can be relied on too much as a crutch. It really helps in terms of learning what things do, because you can see this fireball, which is a new unit, it has a range destroy target of these 3 squares that are in front of it. And, like, you wouldn't need to necessarily look at the fireball to see that these are danger squares, because the red squares are immediately just showing you that area. I'm going to use the swordsman that I just put into the army. You can see that it has a mover attack there, which is 1 position in front of it, has sideways attacks, and move from starting position. So already this is a nice tip from the classic army. You can see that I can either move here or here, which is the move from starting position move. And this synergizes with the idea that this rook is now completely able to just attack forwards. Okay, my opponent has just moved their militia out of the way here to here, and you can see that a splash line has been drawn to show what the threat is. You can see the threat is this rook can take the swordsman, and I will not be able to capture back. And notice that behind the swordsman graphic is only a red square with no blue square behind it. So if I put this pawn here, that will support the swordsman, and that will be defended. However, the AI in the early games is very dumb and will intentionally make choices like that. You can see that's an enemy piece with a blue square behind it. You should always be looking out for those. Like, an enemy square with just a blue and no red behind it means that square is undefended, and that is high priority to at least check. Now, threat squares cannot help you with everything. There are some times where you might have this situation, but it's not good for you to take it, but almost always it's good for you to take undefended enemy pieces like that. So, just continue playing, move this bishop here, and attack this. This is undefended, but and it's still undefended after this turn, actually. But let's just take it. This bishop can, of course, this is a classic chess piece, and it can move as far as it wants diagonally. So, let's go and take it. This rook is still trapped, and it is value 12. So even if I didn't, like, know what the piece did, the value is really helpful in determining whether it's a good trade or not. Like, this bishop is value 10, this rook is value 12. So it is good for me to make this trade, like, in terms of points. And by the way, you might be noticing the numbers at the top of the screen. Those are the morale, which I mentioned before. Those are the thing that goes down whenever a piece is captured, because the morale is basically just the sum total of all the value. You notice that the values are actually just the costs from the army building screen. The queen costed 21 the army building screen, and will also have 21 value while in game. And all the value is summed up to make this total. And yes, there are mechanics that involve spending this effective health total. And there's a mechanic where after turn 15, both players lose 1 morale, which is a way to make games end if they have been stalling for that point. So games will always end. Now let's try to just practice good chess. Like, this knight can attack either here or here. We can block that off by putting this pawn in the way. You can also see, this is a dumb AI army, so it doesn't matter, but for some reason, new players and like, they build armies so badly that this is something that real humans do. Look at this, it's a freaking bishop. It can only move diagonally, and yet we have fireballs that have no moves of their own, so the bishop is completely blocked. This fireball can't move. It just happens so often, but okay, this pawn is undefended, so we will want to defend it. Putting another pawn there. That's a militia. You can see there it even has an on-death lose morale mechanic, which interacts with the numbers at the top of the screen. So this pawn is actually being attacked twice and only defended once, so I should want to add another defender onto it if I can. So let's put the knight there. Now I do want to get this bishop out, and it still got attacked. Well, pretty sure this is a good trade for me to do. Yep, there we go. So notice that I only spent one pawn, but got to take a militia and a knight there. Okay, nice. Bad moves everywhere. So this warrior, you can see that the warrior has this diagonal move or attack, so we can just take it right away. I'm just going to move this warrior around just to show its movement. We can even try to move and try to hit this enemy king. And of course, taking the enemy king is what we want to do. That king move was especially weird because I can very easily threaten it. Let's move the queen out. You can see these splash lines are making, we're making really good use out of them. Here's a check. And hopefully you can see just how the queen is moving and how its diagonal and vertical representation is on the board, as basically every piece works like that. That's an undefended knight. Okay. Did not intend that, but that's actually a really good mechanic demonstration. Because losing the king isn't death, you can actually do counter checks like that. So my opponent blocked the check and threatened a king attack of their own. I can do the same thing and ignore the king threat. Notice that my opponent happens to have 25 morale exactly. 25 is a really important value. Like it's often a very key value because of the lose 25. This bishop is undefended. I can just take that and threaten the king again. Alright, I lost my king, but doesn't matter. I can just take the king. Now, if I didn't win the game on this, then the bleeding mechanic would take into account where my opponent would lose 3 per turn, 3 morale per turn, because of not having a king. But there we go, that's a victory. You get this massive new player bonus. I guess let's check out the store. You can see the theme boxes are actually really just accessible, and you'll be able to afford more really easily. I'm sure people will be looking here for a guide to what boxes to buy. Long-term players will never buy anything in these boxes because they're very short-term. They have slightly better rarity ratios, but the boxes you get the units you get are not exclusive to these 3 boxes. Here are the stats, which I had to personally compile because apparently the developer is exempt from loot box disclosure. But the values represent only cost of exactly 1 piece, because some of these boxes have more than 1 piece that you can get in them. Like this is 4, this is 20, 420. Anyway, it's hard to go wrong, and unlike some other games maybe you would expect, like, buying infinite basic boxes is a great way to get units. It's not even a joke. Like, it looks like the noob box for free-to-plays, but it's it's like an incredibly good value no matter what point you are in the game. Also, it looks like there's a premium currency, which you can actually get tons of this currency in the game for free. Free-to-plays can already amass like 1,000 of it. The game is another aspect where the game is really, really, like, it was completely contrasting from all the other pay-to-wins at the time, even though it did have a bit of pay-to-win itself. Anyway, because we're so early on, we're gonna get an arcane box. Alright, you can see we got some of these fireballs. Just view the collection here. You can also go to another army slot, and I'll show, like, we're gonna put these fireballs, which, if you remember, those are the immobile things that can't move but do have a greater attack range. And let's switch out the queen for a wizard, which has unblockable move attack or swap places with ally. It's just a move type that we have not seen before. This is actually really common in the pieces that they will gain swap places with ally. God damn it. Swap places with ally. It's a very interesting utility. How the heck did I get Ranger? It says it's a forest piece, but I opened a clan box. Freaking buggy game. Anyway, let's just put in the Frost Mage, Thunder Mage, I guess. We're actually at pretty low point value. I think I might bring the queen back. There we go. And put Swordsman on the edge. and a bomber. I mean, this is not a good army. I'm just gonna say, like, it ruins. Oh, look, another Skinner box. And it's not a good army. I'll probably have a more dedicated army building video later, but this is unlocked ranked mode. And honestly, the best way to play this game is to just play ranked all the time. Don't play practice mode, which has less rewards. The thing is that there's a rating number, but please ignore it. I mean, you don't want to have ladder anxiety and like be like me where I have like 4,500 rating, but every single game you're like stressing out, trying to not care, like caring about a freaking arbitrary number. There's no point. Anyway, let's see the swap ability so you can see it just swaps, and it's unblockable too. And like swapping is a very this is a very intentional synergy on the part of the developer. That's a beacon, by the way, a piece that allows the opponent to teleport any range 3 ally, minion, or champion. Notice the king is not even included because the king is neither of those things. But yeah, that's the utility unit that the opponent's using. So we can move the wizard, and I'm just going to try to show this swapping ability. So swap obviously has synergy with immobile units, and it can swap like that. So I'm actually targeting that beacon square. Real bad trade, opponent, but sure. We'll take that rook. You could try to use the Frost Mage, which has the status effect of being able to freeze an enemy unit in this particular range. But we can also get the Thunder Mage ready. It's time to show a mechanic that we call Nuance. So, of course, this is the info card for Thunder Mage, so, I mean, please read, or at least read the part where you pay 1. That's pay 1 morale, by the way. Magic, which is an unblockable ability. After 4 turns, any unit in the marked location is destroyed. So, it's a destroy effect that takes 4 turns, which means that the opponent could move it out of the way, right? So if I put it there, well, it doesn't do anything. Well, I'm just going to put it in the most relevant place, which is on that beacon. That beacon is an immobile unit, so this is a great example of nuance, because I'm just going to be able to take this beacon for free, because it's an immobile unit. It will make the opponent regret ever putting beacon in the army. We call this nuance to mock the developer. Anyway, let's move this wizard. It seems like we can attack this king. Hold on. Let's attack the king first. The king can only move this way, into here. Into this space. Or it can just not do it because it's a stupid AI. But I would have been able to get a free militia that way. Notice that this fireball, it vanishes after attacking, so it's actually not a good trade on my part. Well, it's an okay trade to take this militia. So I could have had the king move to the left, then I would move the wizard to the left, and then take this militia next turn. Anyway, the king is very takeable. The beacon just got destroyed. So now my opponent will be losing 3 morale each turn for not having a king. Yes, let's show off the freeze mechanic. So, okay, nice trade. So this makes it unable to be used for 3 turns, which can open up various attacks. Like, for example, if I move this swordsman here last turn, my opponent would have just been able to take it with the militia. But since this is frozen, I can actually make this move. Then do that. And you can see that, like, it helped that the unit was frozen for 3 turns. You can win here by killing the Valkyrie, which had a weird attack range that I didn't point out. Anyway, so now I'll get a ton of rating. Now, I probably should explain all the numbers on screen. I don't know, I'll just show up a bunch of pieces. So, okay, look, we also got rubies, which is also what I was hoping to demonstrate. So you can easily get tons of these so-called premium currency this way. And so when you're really early on, and because basics are not that far behind from Ultra Crate, even though Ultra Crate is the one that gives you the high rarity units, if you have rubies, like exchanging them here, which is a way to exchange them, there's this slight value loss, but it's very, very mild in the sense that if you, like the gold values are not the same, but it's still so well worth it. Because that gave me like, what, 34k dragon coins, which is enough to buy ever more boxes. So I want to get more fireballs. Okay, so we got instead a bunch of wizards. As I really want to demonstrate something. Imagine not getting many fireballs. Okay, got enough. Probably. So a question you might be wondering is, like, for example, I have obtained 5 Thunder Mages here. but I can't even put 4 of the same, and yes, this is bugged, and like, the error message is bugged, still developer, etc. So why would you ever buy multiple of the same box if you can't use more than 4 units for the same champion? There is no restriction like that for minions, by the way. Well, the answer is that upgrade units button. So, let's just switch to Pawn, that one makes the most sense. You can upgrade units in this game, which increases their moveset, but also their cost to put in the army. So, ordinary Pawn can only move once, with a range 2 move from starting position. This one has a range 3 move from starting position, and has double move. It also promotes the Bishop Plus, which is an upgraded version of the Bishop. So it is very common for minions to also improve their promotion too. And the cost is that you need multiple of that unit in the inventory. And this also creates like choices about how you want to have your collection, and what upgrades are actually worth or not. The game tests your ability to evaluate pieces to an incredible degree. So we have like Phantasm, which I've obtained multiple copies of for this purpose. This is +3 cost, but 4 extra attacks. The Wizard, now, this is the one, like, I wonder sometimes if there are these upgrades that are so obviously good, because no one actually plays the base version of Wizard. Now, the base versions of units, there's actually a lot of really good base units. There are times where there were really overpowered upgraded units. I do not believe this is the case anymore, as the game, it's kind of been brute force balanced. Now, let's not give too much credit to the designer. The designer is not capable of balancing pieces. There have been many overpowered garbage designs in the past, but it just so happens that after enough brute force balancings, and not enough new units, the game is in its most balanced and non-pay-to-win state. Let's upgrade the Wizard, giving us a Wizard Plus. Also, this Fireball, just cut to the chase as well here. This adds 4 attacks for 1 cost, but they're in the best 4 attack positions that it could possibly be. This is another basically needed upgrade. Leave the rest alone. And by the way, if you're wondering, because some freaking people have done this. Yeah, see? This army used to have 3 fireballs. I can still actually play this army in ranked modes and stuff, but I will just not be able to save this army because it has units that I don't own. Like, yeah. But you will still be able to play it. It'll just get locked as this unless you want to change it. Get rid of these. So it's really nice that it allows you to use units you don't own so that you don't, like, upgrade all your pawns away like an idiot or something. Yeah, the upgraded version of the Fireball, which costs +1 more, it's just... The non-upgraded version is just a lot weaker. This upgraded Wizard can also swap with the 8 adjacent spaces around it. This is a tip. What a great tip. So even early on, there are like these synergies you can try out. Like in this situation, I have the Thunder Mage right here, which can kill a mobile unit. Like it targets a square. And I have a Frost Mage, which can freeze enemy units. So you can see the synergy right here. There's like tons of these types of synergies all around the game. So now that unit has become immobile, and now it's going to die for free. There's also the synergy with the Wizard being able to swap with the Fireball, which is still really fun to swap around immobile units like that. Anyway, let's watch the Samurai die for free. And also, like, I will be making, well, I feel like I will be making lots of videos about specific units because there have been so many games played with these designs. Like, the Samurai that instantly attacks a target has been part of the meta for, like, forever because of its ability to do things without costing a turn. If you ever played any other games, you know how good it is to be able to get, like, free turns and stuff. Might as well open a basic box just to show. So you can open up to 20 at once and get tons of pieces that you've never seen. Notice that not all of them are new because some of these are actually from, like, the other theme boxes. I'd probably recommend starting with a rush army, like one that does not block movement. You're in the early ranks, just to make this period of the game go through a lot faster. So this involves using the classic chess pieces, which, by the way, is why Bishop has such a high value. The Knight is only 6 value in this game, which is really weird. And part of it is its ability to be used in rushes like this. Also, there is more currency nonsense besides even this, because there's all this stuff where you can claim to get even more currency, which feels rather infinite, because you're just gonna get them so fast. It's just ways to make you think a chess game needs an economy and a mastery of all the pieces. Another noob killing technique is a unit in the clan box, which I may or may not be lucky enough to get in this as I open these. There we go. So this is the ninja piece. A piece that is not really competitively viable. You should really stop using that for like rank 2000, but it creates so many easy checkmates if your opponent is an idiot. So here my opponent has actually blocked it off. I can't put my ninja here But the ninja has a range 3 unblockable attack, which makes it really easy for smothered mates. So if my opponent takes this bishop, we'll have this example right now. It's just like, this has worked for absolute years. Yes, against real humans, so that's why it gets spammed, but the piece is not actually very good, except for this purpose. It's a piece that really makes me wonder how many rage quits it caused, like back when the game was at its peak in popularity. One last thing I feel is most relevant for new player progression. When you get to level rank 500, which will happen like an hour or two of gameplay, you'll be a novice, but two important things will unlock for progression. One is this Dragon's Favor. These things are more dark patterns. You can buy it. It says PvP matches, but it's not just PvP. I don't even know why it says PvP, but you basically should just buy it. Because that new player bonus it doesn't last forever, and it counts. This is a great way to take advantage of the new player bonus coins. Now, the reason it's kind of a dark pattern is that it kind of incentivizes you to play the game for 24 hours, which I think is like, it's just like addiction causing. It should be like 1 hour of time instead. Freaking economy mechanics in chess, again. The second thing is this challenge, the daily challenge, which only unlocks at rank 500. There's basically just a massive list of units where the AI is weak to, so it's really hard to say these challenges are really challenging at all. You can collect this daily ruby prize for doing so, and it's just a lot of currency every day. The problem is, this has also been designed to get you on an addiction treadmill, because I mean, let's just show off a game. This will not, I guess this is more representative of a thing that looks more like a challenge. So there's like all of these units. So I guess it's also a way to play with and against units you might not have seen. Instead, we got these gnomes that will petrify something in close range and then upgrade into an earth elemental, sorry. We also get mastery, which is one of the landmarks, one of the ways we can get the mastery level up, because the mastery of these also count. Let's see if I can get the Moon Fox Cheese going over here. Though I think it's probably unlikely, unless it teleports here. Okay, so we should get to see the amazing AI in action, I hope. Because that Moonfox revives on death to the square behind it. And there you go, the king's dead. And of course, with the bleeding morale, this will be a quick win. So, yeah, if you look at the stats, like, 66% of people were able to beat the challenge. Now, that's like first try stats. So it really does not take much effort to win a challenge. Toad also acts like a checkers piece, by the way. That's what that does. Okay, so the dark pattern is now here, the addiction treadmill, because you see, I just won the challenge, but it tells me to come back during the next challenge to claim a ruby prize, which means I don't get any rubies today. I need to go come back tomorrow to repeat the same procedure. Dark patterns. Absolute spaghetti monster behavior. You'd think the developer would have put like some bundle or something in here that unshackled you from these addiction mechanics, but it just, no. The developer should just admit this is an idle game already. You probably gotta make some different video compiling the dark pattern memes in this game, because another one is if you win the game too fast, you start losing some benefits and coins. As in, if you beat an AI before 10 moves, which does likely mean that you checkmate cheese them with a ninja, but it's just good to stall the move count until move 15. Yes, I know, freaking bot farming advice is the thing that I want to put on this channel. Oh no. Anyway, this is old Chess Battle, Chess Evolved Online. Much like people were too lazy to create Baba's You mod custom content videos, pretty much no one has competently analyzed the stuff in this game, even though it does deserve it, despite the lolcow developer. Really is the best word to describe the freaking dev of this game. I've always really enjoyed like watching analysis videos of certain units and strategies in games. No one has done it for this, and there's generally really a lot that is cool about this game. Again, I think it's like a must-play experience, and the things that will make you hate this game only happen after like weeks of playing when you're going to notice them, and all of those experienced player issues with the game have nothing to do with the noob low level of skill issues that sub 100 hour players experience. Anyway, that'll be it, and also, this Chess Evolved is part of the reason of the existence of Chess Battle Advanced, invented by Stratshot Player.